Day 80 of this bitch. And we are one of the 10 days or whatever. Yo, dog, is this shit gonna work? Oh, not the sounds. Yo, there we go. Here we go.
Minus 3,761 creation of the world. Birth of Adam and Eve, Chava. Minus 3,631 130 Seth, son of Adam, was born. Minus 3,526 235 Enosh, son of Seth, was born. Minus 3,436 325 Kenan, son of Enosh, was born. Minus 3,366 395 Mehalilel, son of Kenan, was born. Minus 3,301 460 Yer, son of Mehalilel, was born. Minus 3,139 622 Chanuk, son of Yer, was born. Minus 3,074 687 Metushalach, son of Chanuk, was born. Minus 2,887 874 Lemech II, son of Metushalach, was born. Minus 2,831 930 Adam died. Minus 2,705 1,056 Noah, son of Lemech II, was born. Minus 2,225 1,536 Noah began the construction of the ark. Minus 1,205 1,156 Japhet, son of Noah, was born. Minus 2,204 1,557 Shem, son of Noah, was born. Minus 2,203 1,558 Shem, son of Noah, was born. Minus 2,105 1,656 Metushalach died. Minus 105 1,656 The great flood covered the earth. Minus 2,103 1,658 Arpachshad, son of Shem, was born. Minus 2068 1,693 Shelah, son of Arpachshad, born. Minus 2038 1,723 Eber, son of Shelach, was born. Minus 2004 1,757 Peleg, son of Eber, was born. Minus 1974 1,787 Reu, son of Peleg, was born. Minus 1942 1,819 Sirach, son of Reu, was born. Minus 1912 1,849 Nachterai, son of Sirach, was born. Minus 1,883 1,878 Terah, son of Nachterai, was born. The forefathers. Secular year Jewish year event in history. Minus 1,813 1948 Abraham, son of Terah, was born. Minus 1,803 1958 Sarah, daughter of Haran, was born. Minus 1,788 1973 Abraham married Sarah. Minus 1,765 1996 dispersion from Babel after building the tower. Minus 1,761 2000 Terah left Ur Kasdim with his family. Minus 1,055 2006 Noah died. Minus 1743 2018 The Covenant, Brit Bain Habitarum, with Abraham. Minus 1738 2023 Abraham settled in Canaan. Minus 1727 2034 Ishmael, son of Abraham, was born. Minus 1713 2040 Abraham circumcised himself and Ishmael. Minus 1713 2048 Sodom and Gomorrah were destroyed. Minus 1713 2048 Isaac, son of Abraham, was born. Minus 1677 2084 The Acta, where Isaac was brought on the altar by Abraham. Minus 1677 2084 Sarah died. Minus 1653 2108 Jacob and Esau were born. Minus 1638 2123 Abraham died. Minus 1603 2158 Shem, son of Noah, died. Minus 1590 2171 Isaac blessed Jacob instead of Esau. Minus 1576 2185 went to Haran. Minus 2187 Eber, great-grandson of Shem, died. Minus 1569 2192 Jacob married Leah and Rachel. Minus 1566 2195 Levi, son of Jacob and Leah, was born. Minus 1562 2199 Joseph, son of Jacob and Rachel, was born. 556 2205 Jacob left Haran. Minus 1553 2208 Benjamin was born. Minus 1545 2216 Joseph was sold. Minus 1533 2228 Isaac died. Minus 1532 2229 Joseph became viceroy of Egypt. Minus 1526 2235 Kahat, son Levi, was born. Minus 1523 2238 Jacob, and his family, went to Egypt. Living in Egypt. Secular year Jewish year event. Minus 1506 2255 Jacob died. Minus 1429 2332 after Levi died. The enslavement in Egypt began. Minus 1393 2368 Moses was born. Minus 1355 2406 Joshua was born. Minus 1314 2447 Moses encountered the burning bush. Minus 1313 2448 The Jewish nation left Egypt. Traveling through the desert. Secular year Jewish year event. Minus 1313 2448 The Jewish nation crossed the Red Sea. Minus 1313 2448 The revelation at Mount Sinai and the giving of the Torah. Minus 1313 2448 Moses broke the tablets. Minus 1312 249 Moshe came down Mount Sinai with the second tablets. Minus 1312 2449 The tabernacle was erected. Minus 1312 2449 The spies returned from Canus. Minus 1274 2004 minus 1273 2488 Moses died. Judges and early prophets. Secular year Jewish year event in history. Minus 1273 2488 The Jews crossed the Jordan into Canaan. Minus 1258 2503 The appointment of the land of Israel was completed. Minus 1245 2516 Joshua died. Minus 1228 2533 The rule of judges began with Othniel ben Kenaz. Minus 1188 2573 Ehud ben Ura became leader. Minus 1107 2654 Shamgar ben Anath died. Minus 1107 2654 Deborah became leader. Minus 1067 2694 Gideon became leader. Minus 1027 2734 Abimelech, son of Gideon, became leader. Minus 1024 2737 Tola, son of Pua, became leader. Minus 1003 2758 Jadir, The Jalidite became leader. Minus 900 and 879 Jephthah, Hagiladi, minus 969 2792 Elon, Hazabuloni, became leader. Minus 959 2802 Abdon ben Hillel became leader. Minus 951 2810 Abson became leader. Minus 931 2830 Eli the Cohen became leader. Minus 907 2854 David was born. Minus 892 871 Samuel became leader. Kings and the First Holy Temple. Secular year Jewish year event in history. Minus 879 2882 Saul was a king. Minus 877 2884 David became king of Judah in Hebron. Minus 869 2892 David became king of Israel in Jerusalem. Minus 887 2924 Solomon became king. Minus 833 2928 The building of the first Beit Hamikdash commenced. Minus 827 2935 The first Beit Hamikdash was completed. Minus 797 2964 Solomon died and divided. Minus 707 2964 Rehoboam, son of Solomon, became king of Judah. Minus 797 2964 Jeroboam ben Nebat, king over Israel. Minus 703 3043 Elijah went up in a chariot of fire. Minus 677 3084 Joash renovated the Beit Hamikdash. Minus 619 3142 Isaiah began his prophecies. 574 3187 The first two of the 10 tribes were exiled. Minus 566 3195 Another two of the 10 tribes were exiled. Minus 562 3199 Hezekiah became king of Judah. Minus 556 3205 The last of the 10 tribes were exiled. Minus 548 3213 Sennacherib invaded the land of Judah and retreated. Minus 533 3228 Manasseh, son of Hezekiah, became king of Judah. Minus 463 3298 Jeremiah began his prophecies. Minus 458 3303 Josiah renovated the Beit Hamikdash. Minus 442 3319 Jerusalem was conquered and Jehoiakim, was exiled. Minus 443 321 Jehoiakim burned the Book of Lamentations composed by Jeremiah. Minus 434 3327 Jerusalem was conquered again and Jehoiakim. 331 Jeremiah persisted in prophesying calamity. Minus 429 3332 Ezekiel prophesied in exile. Minus 425 3336 The final Babylonian siege of Jerusalem. Minus 423 3338 The walls of Jerusalem were penetrated. Minus 423 3338 The sacrifices ceased in the Beit Hamikdash. Minus 423 3338 The first Beit Hamikdash was destroyed. Exile in Babylon. Secular year Jewish year event in history. Minus 423 3339 Gedaliah ben Achikam was killed. Minus 421 3340 Daniel interpreted Nebuchadnezzar's dream. Minus 410 3352 Ezekiel prophesied about the future Beit Hamikdash. Minus 372 3389 Daniel read the writing on the wall. Minus 372 3389 Daniel was thrown into the lion's den. Minus 371 3390 Zerubbabel led the return to the land of Israel. Minus 373 391 building of second Beit Hamikdash commenced. Then halted. Minus 366 3395 Akashverosh II made his great banquet. Minus 362 3399 Esther was taken to the palace. Minus 357 3404 Esther took action against Haman's decree. Minus 355 3406 Mordecai proclaimed the celebration of Purim. Minus 353 3408 building of the second Beit Hamikdash resumed. Minus 349 3412 the second Beit Hamikdash was completed. Building of the second Holy Temple. Secular year Jewish year event in history. Minus 348 3,413 Ezra led the second return to the land of Israel. Minus 335 3,426 Nehemiah returned to rebuild Wallam. Minus 313 3,448 Ezra died. Minus 313 3,448 Simon the Zodic met Alexander the Great. Minus 313 3,449 Aminyan Shtaro began. Greek cultural domination. Secular year Jewish year event in history. Minus 273 3,488 Simon the Zodic died. Minus 246 3,515 72 elders translated. The Septuagint. 143,621 The revolt of Shmanaim. Kingdom of Judea. Dynasty of the Shashmanaim. Second year event in history. Minus 139 3,122 Judah the Maccabee ruled. Minus 139 3,622 The second Beit Hamikdash was rededicated. Minus 138 3,623 Hanukkah was declared a festival. Minus 133 3,628 Judah the Maccabee was killed in battle. Minus 133 3,628 Yonanan, son of Mattityahu, ruled. Minus 127 3,634 Shimon, son of Mattityahu, ruled. Minus 119 3,642 Yohanan Harkanos, son of Shimon, ruled. Minus 93 3,668 Judah Aristobulus, son of Yochanan Harkanos, ruled. Minus 91 3,670 Alexander Yanai, son of Yochanan Harkanos, ruled. Minus 73 3,688 Queen Shalamzion, Salome Alexandra, wife of Alexander Yanai, ruled. Minus 65 3,096 Aristobulus II, son of Alexander Yanai, ruled/TD. Minus 61 3,700 The Romans gained control of Judea. Minus 61 3,700 Harkanos II, son of Alexander Yanai, ruled. Minus 43,721 Antigonus, son of Aristobulus II, ruled. Roman client kings and rulers, the Herodian dynasty. Secular year Jewish year event in history. Minus 36 3,725 Herod I ruled, killing all the Shashmanaim. Minus 33 3,728 Hillel became the leader of the Torah scholars. Minus 19 3,742 Herod I began rebuilding the second Beit Hamikdash. Minus 11 3,750 renovation of the second Beit Hamikdash was completed. 1 3,761 Archelaus, son of Herod I, ruled. 8 3,768 Hillel died. 10 3,770 Archelaus was deposed by the Roman emperor. 21 3,781 Agrippa I, grandson of Herod I, ruled. 28 3,788 The Sanhedrin moved from the second Beit Hamikdash. 44 3,804 Agrippa II, son of Agrippa I, ruled. 53,810 Rabban Gamliel I, son of Shimon, grandson of Hillel, died. 66 3,826 Vespasian arrived in Judea to reassert Roman authority. 69 3,829 The Seth destroyed. The Talmudic era. The Mishnah, secular year Jewish year event in history. 74 3,834 Ar Yohanan ben Zakkai died. 86 3,846 The Sanhedrin moved from place to place, under Ar Gamliel II. 133 3,893 Bader fell, and the Bar Kokhba revolt ended in tragedy. 134 3,894 Judaism was banned, and Ar Akiva was imprisoned. 189 3,949 Ar Judah Hanasi completed the Mishnah around this time. The Talmudic era. The Gemara. Secular year Jewish year event in history. 219 3,979 Rav left the land of Israel and settled in Babylonia. 247 4007 Shmuel was the Talmudic authority in Babylonia. 254 4014 Ar Yohanan was the leading Talmudic authority. 294,050 Ar Huna was the leading Talmudic authority. 298 4058 Ar Yehuda was the leading Talmudic authority. 304,060 was the leading Talmudic authority. 309,069 Rabba was the leading Talmud authority. 321 4081 Ar Yosef was the leading Talmudic authority. 325 4085 Abai was the leading Talmudic authority. 338 4098 Rabbi was the leading Talmudic authority. 359 4119 Hillel II, who established the calendar, became Nasi. 392 4152 Arashi was the leading Talmudic authority. 427 4187 Arashi died after the compilation of the Gemara. 475 4235 The Talmud was complete when Rabbi II died. The Rabbanan. Secular year Jewish year event in history. 551 4311 Mar Zutra proclaimed Jewish self-rule in Babylonia. The Janim. Secular year Jewish year event in history. 589 4349 The Talmudic Academy of Pumbedita was reconstituted. 609 4369 The Talmudic Academy of Sura was reconstituted. 614 4374 The Persians conquered the land of Israel. 614 4374 The Jews were allowed to return to Jerusalem. 629 4389 The Byzantine Empire reconquered the land of Israel. 636 4396 Aritzhak was the last Jayon of Nehardeh, Virashuber. 637 4397 The Arabs conquered the land of Israel. 645 4405 One of the Takanat Hajanim was enacted at this time. 755 4515 Arak Jayon left Iraq for the land of Israel. 759 4519 Ar Yehuda became Jayon of Surah. 759 4519 The Halachat Bidalat, B.A. Hag, was written at this time. 788 4548 Another of the Takanat Hajanim was enacted at this time. 858 4618 Aramrum, who wrote the Siddur, became Jayon of Surah. 928 4688 Rabbi Anusayadiah was appointed Jayon of Surah. 955 4754 captives were ransomed at around this time. 968 4728 Arsherah became Jayon of Pumbedita. 997 4757 Arhai became, the last, Jayon of Pumbedita. 1038 4798 Arhai died. And the academies of Babylon declined. The early Rishonim, the Crusade massacres. Secular year Jewish year in history. 1044,800 Rabbi Anujersa Meir Hagola died. 1088 4848 The Rip arrived in Spain from Morocco. 1096 4856 The Crusaders destroyed Jewish communities. 1099 4859 Jerusalem was captured by the Crusaders. 1103 4863 The Rip died. 1105 4865 Rashi died. And the era of the Tosaf began. 1135 4800 M. Maimonides was born. 1144 4904 The first, recorded, blood libel to Ace. 1147 4907 The Crusaders attacked Jewish communities. 1147 4907 Rabbi Anutam was captured by the Crusaders. 1048 4908 The Rambams and the Radaks families left Cordova. 1165 4925 The Rambam visited the land of Israel. 1171 4931 Rabbi Anutam died. 1175 4935 The Rashbam died. 1184 4944 The young son of Eri was killed. 1187 4948 Jews were allowed to return to Jerusalem. 1189 4949 Ar Yaakov d'Orleans was killed in London. 1190 4950 Jews were massacred in England in the Third Crusade. 1191 4951 Rabbi David Kimchi, known as the Radak, wrote his commentary. 1194 4954 The Ramban, Nachmanides, was born. 1198 4959 The Arayavid died. 1200 and 4960 The Rambam died. 1236 4996 Rampaging mobs massacred Jews in France. 1242 5002 A massive burning of the Talmud took place in Paris. 1244 5004 Jerusalem was sacked by Egyptians. 1252 5012 The Inquisition began to use torture. 1267 5027 The Ramban left Spain and settled in land of Israel. 1270 5030 The Ramban died. 1280 6046 The Maharam Rothenberg was imprisoned. 1295 5050 New works advanced the study of Kabbalah. 1209 5050 The era of the Tosafot concluded at around this time. Later Rishonim. Persecutions and expulsions. Secular year 1295 50 Jews were expelled from England. 1293 5053 The Maharam Mir Rothenberg died in prison. 1298 5058 The Rheinfleisch massacres began. 1298 5058 The author of the Mordecai and Haggahat Maimoniyot were killed. 1305 5065 The Rashba placed a limited ban on philosophy. 1305 5065 The Rosh and his son, the Tur, arrived in Spain. 1306 5066 All Jews were expelled from France. 1310 5070 The Rashba died. 1325 5080 Jews were massacred by the Posteros Crusaders. 1327 5088 The Rosh died. 1336 5096 Jews of Germany were massacred by the Armleiter bands. 1338 5098 The Ralbag wrote his commentary on the Bible. 1349 5109 The Black Death massacres swept across Europe. 1367 5127 The Ran. Riva scholars in Spain were imprisoned. 1391 5151 Jews of Spain were massacred. Many were forced to convert. 1391 5151 The Rivish and Rashbats left Spain. 1394 5155 The final expulsion of Jews from France. 1413 5173 R. Yosef Albo was in a forced debate with Christians. 1421 5181 Jews in Austria were massacred in the Wiener Gezira. 1475 5235 The invention of printing was used for Jewish books. 1481 5241 The Inquisition was established in Spain. 1488 5248 R. Obadiah de Berdenora settled in Jerusalem. 1491 5251 Columbus consulted R. Abraham Zakutov for his travels. 1492 5252 All Jews were expelled from Spain and Sicily. The great scholars of the Shulchan Aruch and Torah Consolidation. Secular year Jewish year event in history. 1493 5253 Ardad Itzhak Abarbanel arrived in Naples from Spain. 1496 5257 All Jews were expelled from Portugal. 1516 5276 The Ein Yaakov was printed. 1516 5276 The Turks, Ottoman Empire, conquered Eretz Yisrael. 1525 5285 Ardad Yosef Yasselman saved many Jews during the Peasants' War. 1053 5314 A mass burning of Jewish books took place in Rome. 1563 5323 The Shulchan Aruch was completed by Ardad Yosef Karo. 1575 5330 The Shulchan Aruch was published with supplements of Rama. 1572 5332 The Arizal died in Tzfat. 1573 5333 The Maharal came to Prague. 1573 5334 The Maharshal died. 1575 5335 Ardad Yosef died in Safat. 1599 5359 The Maharal returned to Prague again. 1614 5374 The Maharsha became rabbi in Lublin. 1616 5377 The Tosafot Yom Tov commentary was concluded. 1621 5382 The Shalom arrived in the land of Israel. 1629 5389 Ardad Yom Tov Lipman Heller was imprisoned in Prague. 1645 400 Ardad Yoel Sirks, the Bach, died. 1646 5406 the Shach and Taz, on Shulchan Aruch, were printed. 1648 5408 Jews were massacred by Shmuel Naki's forces. Early Akaranim and East European massacres. Secular year Jewish year event in history. 1654 5414 the first Jews settled in New Amsterdam, New York. 1655 5415 many Jews killed in Russian and Swedish invasions of Poland. 1656 5416 Jews were permitted to live in 1656 5416 Baruch Spinoza was excommunicated. 1673 5433 the Magen Avraham, on Shulchan Aruch, was completed. 1176 5037 Shabtai Tzvi died. 1689 5449 the Beit Shmuel, on the Shulchan Aruch, was printed. 1698 5458 the Baal Shem Tov was born. 1702 5463 the Nia Yahushua's family was killed in an explosion. 1712 5472 the Teichachamin was arrested. 1724 5484 Ardad Yaakov Kulai, Miam Loizi, arrived in Constantinople. 1727 5487 the Mishnah Elimelech. 1734 5494 Jews were massacred by the Haida bands. Akaranim and early Hasidim, year event in history. 1700 arrived in the land of Israel. 1747 5507 are Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, Ronkel, died in Akko, Acre. 1755 5510 are Jonathan E. Beskutz became rabbi in Hamburg. 1754 5515 are Yechezkel Landau, known as the Noda by Yehuda, became rabbi in Prague. 1757 5518 the Frankists instigated mass burnings of the Talmud. 1759 5519 Frankists supported blood libel charges in public debate. 1765 5520 the Baal Shem Tov died. 1764 5524 the Council of Four Lands, known as the Va'ad Arba Artzot, was discontinued. 1768 5528 despite resistance. The Haida massacre thousands. 1772 5532 the Maggid of Mazuritz died. 1782 5542 R.N. Adler and Chatham Sofer visited the Noda by Yehuda. 1786 5546 R. Elimelech of Lizinsk died. 1791 5551 the Pale of Settlement was established in Russia. 1793 5553 Jews suffered in reign of terror of French Revolution. 1797 5558 the Vilna J. 1705 5559 the Bal Hanya was released from first imprisonment. 1799 5559 Napoleon led an army expedition through the land of Israel. 1806 5566 the Judah, Arhaim Yosef David Ajalai died. 1806 5566 the Chatham Sofer became rabbi in Prespig. 1809 5570 R. Levi Yitzhak of Berdichev died. 1810 5571 R. Nachman of Breslov died. 1814 5574 R. Akiva Eger became rabbi in Posen. 1814 5575 Kozhnitzer Maggid and Yehudi of Peshizka both died. 1815 5575 Choza of Lublin and Armendel of Riemann both died. 1819 5579 anti-Jewish riot spread throughout Germany. 1827 5587 Russia began cutting Jewish children to the army. 1845 600 Ardat Yisrael of Ruzin was released from imprisonment. Later Akaranim and the Changing Society. Secular year Jewish year event in history. 1843 5603 the Tzemach Tzedek of Lubavitch was repeatedly arrested in Russia. 1846 5606 Sir Moshe Montefiore visited Russia to help local Jews. 1848 5609 R. Yisrael Salander left Vilna. 1851 5611 R. Shimshon Raphael Hirsch became rabbi in Frankfurt am Main. 1859 5619 R. Menachem Mendel of Kotsk died. 1864 5624 The Malbim was imprisoned, and then expelled from Romania. 1866 5626 Judashe Haram, Tiferet Shlomo, and Samach Tzedek. 1008 5630 Chafetz Haim was published. 1038 Petatikva Agriculture 1881 5641 Many Jews began leaving Russia after a wave of pogroms. 1886 5646 R. Shlomo Pride, author of Keitzer Shulchan Aruch, died. 1905 5665 Sfat Emet died. 1905 5665 Many Jews were killed in official Russian pogroms. 1911 5671 Chazon Ish was published. 1914 5 and 74 Over 500,000 Jewish soldiers fought in World War I. 1918 5670 Over 60,000 for the Daf Hayomi study cycle commenced. 1927 5687 The 6th Lubavitcher Rebbe was in prison. 1938 5600 Germany. The Holocaust. 1939 5699 Germany started World War II. And mass killing of Jews. 1941 5701 Nazi Germany unexpectedly invaded Russia. 1941 5701 200,000 Jews were killed at Babi Yar and Punari. And 1943 5703 Nazi Germany experienced massive losses in the Battle of Stalingrad. 1943 5703 The remaining Jews in Warsaw staged a massive uprising. 1943 5703 Jewish uprisings at Treblinka, Sobibor, and Bialystok. 1943 5703 Danish people quietly rescued 93% of their Jews to safety. 1944 5704 300,000 Hungarian Jews were killed in 3 months. 1944 5705 Uprising in Auschwitz death camp just before freedom. 1945 5705 Nazi Germany was conquered. And World War II ended. 1945 5705 6 million Jews were killed by the Nazis during the war. The modern state of Israel. Secular year Jewish year event in history. 1947 5707 Publication of the Talmud in commenced. 1947 5000 Nations divided Israel. 1947 5708 Arabs attacked Israel to gain territory. 1948 5708 The State of Israel was established. 1948 5708 Israel was invaded by many Arab countries. 1949 5709 The War of Independence in Israel ended. 1955 5710 All Jews left the ancient Jewish community of Iraq. 1955 5710 Almost all Jews of Yemen emigrated to Israel. 1951 5711 The Lubavitcher Rebbe accepts the mantle of leadership. 1956 5717 Jewish forces invaded Egypt and conquered the Sinai Desert. 1967 5727 The Lubavitcher Rebbe established the Tefillin campaign. 1967 5727 Jerusalem reunited under Jewish rule in the Six-Day War. 1973 5734 2,500 Jewish soldiers were killed in the Yom Kippur War. 1974 5734 The Lubavitcher Rebbe established the Shabbat Candle Campaign. 1982 5704 Two massive enemy arsenals were dismantled in Lebanon. 1987 5746 The First International Conference of Chabad Lubavitch Emissaries. 1993 5783 A secret agreement signed in Oslo. 1994 5754 The Lubavitcher Rebbe passed away. 2008 5767 Deadly terrorist attack at the Chabad house in Mumbai. India, kill 6. 2020 5780 Israel signed Abraham Accords, normalizing relations with UAE and Bahrain, soon followed by Sudan and Morocco.
What day is that? Oh, fuck knows. Fuck. 27th of the 5786, Monday, March 16th. Tomorrow's King Jack Tricks Day, the big day. Oh, yeah. It's a big day.
I'm not sure if the general market really knows its true meaning. You are a definitions and terms. Would you? Sure, let's just start with what was Kabbalah? Can you define it?
Dude, that took 41 minutes. Oh, because that thing goes slow.
I am married, 2 children. I work in marketing, and I like to say that I'm a hustler in Detroit. I hail from Australia, I'm a child of Holocaust survivors.
Yeah, we all are. Really? I'm here, baby.
Most recently, founded another creative site called Spirit Grow, which emphasizes wellness of mind and spirit. It's a pleasure to speak with you. Where Wolf has ended up in the realm of spirituality and
I'm going to start saying I'm Inquisition survivor. Are you? I'm a survivor of everything, baby. I'm a 9/11 survivor, bitch.
a lot of appeal is in the general market.
I've survived the war on terror thus far. Really? I survived everything. I survived the Seinfeld finale. I survived the cancellation of Family Guy the first time. I survived everything.
Firstly, it certainly became a buzzword. Madonna adopts it. It must have some general relevancy. And I think it was that general quest for meaning and spirituality that people's quest looked for a Jewish equivalent of something which is currently spiritual and contemporary while being ancient at the same time. The word Kabbalah fitted perfectly what was the very superficial perception of what it was. In truth, Kabbalah simply means the process of receiving. When Moses came down from Har Sinai and taught the Torah, he taught it at 4 distinct levels. All of us who were there, I was there. Let's move that for the first time. Don't remember. Shut the fuck up!
Thank you. That's what I'm saying.
So he taught, literally, he taught everyone the basic meaning of it. Torah, that's called Shat. Then he took a smaller grouping of people and taught them a deeper level, became known as Rebbe's. Rebbe's means truth or illusion, whereas Shat means plain meaning. So, smaller group, deeper illusion. Then he took an even smaller grouping of people and taught them the Drush level. Drush is meaning is so profound that I have to move away from the subject matter for you to understand it. It seems like a strange thing to say. So I'll give you an example from Albert Einstein. A young man approaches Albert Einstein and says, teach me the theory of relativity. So Einstein asks, have you studied any math? No. Physics? No. So Einstein says, no problem, I'll teach it to you. It goes like this. If you're sitting on a sofa with your girlfriend for 10 minutes, it'll feel like a mere 10 seconds. But if you're sitting on a very hot stove 10 seconds, it'll feel like a full 10 minutes. That's relativity. That's what Drush is. Drush to move away from the subject, use some analog, more truly analogy, metaphor, and then come back. That's why the Midrashic literature is full of anecdotes and stories, quaint stories which some people say, that's childlike. It's not childlike, it's been here for years there. And then finally, and we're getting to your question, I should have been taught the fourth level, which was known as sod. The word sod in Hebrew means secret. It's where reality is abstracted into words and energetic correlate lead to creation and speak in terms of the animation of the world and the light and the multi-worlds. Alright, and that big tradition was passed on singularly from teacher to student. The student received the teaching, the Hebrew infinitive to receive, so that's where the word originates. And that became a subject of energetic correlations that lead to creation and speak in terms of the animation of the world and the light and the modes. And that big tradition was a link from teacher to student. The student received the teaching, the Hebrew infinitive to receive, lekabel, the noun Kabbalah. So that's where the word originates from. And that became a subterranean, secretive lekabel. So that's where the word originates from. And that became a subterranean, secretive tradition for reasons which I'll share until we find ourselves in the 3rd century. In the 3rd century, it becomes codified in the person of Shimon Chai. He codifies it, the first written down version, but it doesn't become published till 900 to 1000. We find ourselves in the 3rd century. In the 3rd century, it was codified in the person of Shimon Chai. He codifies it, the first written down version, but it doesn't become published till 900 to 1000 years later by Moses de Leon and the Zohar. So you've got now a further publication of it, but even then it remains a very, very limited tradition until we move to the 17th
Chicken?
Sfat, Israel. The
That's
Muslims
fine.
start to study it, but in groups, so it's a little bit wider. And then finally the Baal Shem Tov comes along and he popularizes the teachings of it. It's still only broad strokes. And finally together, the first he makes it intelligible through analysis and explanation so that everyone is able to understand it. And that's what Chabad Hasidism does to Kabbalah, because Kabbalah in itself desires inscription, it's codified, there's no way. So, a long and short question. So when we became enamored by Kabbalah in the 1970s and 80s, etc., it was an illusion that they became enamored to, but it was something they felt was important. But I think that those who were genuine searched behind the popularity of the superficial of Chabad Hasidus, and therefore genuinely began to understand what it was just taught at the 4th level at Mount Sinai.
So maybe that's one of the answers. Is in reality,
Looks good.
Kabbalah is the inner workings of the Torah. Okay, it's not for beginners. Though beginners and just people that are curious are searching for meaning, and they in their minds thought, well, this is a nice venue to capture that. But maybe the answer is instead of grasping it and concepts that they don't really understand, in the last sentence, I think you said, hey, maybe come to the Chabad house where they teach they teach this as as part of the whole Jewish.
Absolutely correct. But perhaps I would just sense a different nuance of one of the things that you said when you said it's not for beginners. So it's important to meet people. Even a mere 100 years ago, it was a graduated evolution. You went to Cheder in the Shtetl in Poland or wherever you were, and you studied Aleph Beis and you got to learn Fresh, etc. Then you progressed to Mishnah, and then when you progressed to Gemara, and then you progressed to the Analytide, etc., etc. We're a completely different world where the majority of Jewish people are disconnected from their Judaism. Now that's a phenomenon that's possibly in history. Now therefore quite a different strategic approach needs to be employed in the way that we connect and relate to people who are disconnected from the roots. They may even have interests and such. So when I say it's not, when you say it's not for beginners, I find that we're talking today to a mature whose intelligence is developed, curiosity levels may be peaked, and therefore you have to speak in sophisticated terms. And therefore I find no problems starting with the depth of Judaism, which is teasingly attractive, especially today in a world that tends to wish to be spiritual, although the word spiritual today means so many things, ecological concern, environmental concern, non-animal testing, meditation, mindfulness, you name it. This is all under small s spirituality, but it does include spirituality as well. And therefore, start where they're interested and work your way to the other place. So it's the first in Jewish education for the beginners in this day and age.
Well, and it's important. You've influenced me. You won me over because what I see with my friends and colleagues, who a lot of them have been disconnected with Judaism, and maybe still some are, is they a deep interest in the spiritual side. Who am I? Why am I here? What's the purpose of life? Is this God? Why bad things happen to good people? And they're less interested in the basics. Yeah, when you stand up and listen to the show, there's a lot of endorse what you're saying. That's my experience with my colleagues, and I call them beginners. That's probably not a fair term. Just those who are curious. Those who are curious. Sure.
I think I have is not to emulate the wider communist, meaning many spiritual teachers and many traditions remain at the airy-fairy spiritual level, whereas Jewish spirituality tries to bring you back to earth. And by that, with the acrobatics of spirituality, Kabbalah and things like that. But you have to also allow that to reach the ordinary, everyday, mundane level of the world, and to be able to lift that to a point of interest that it's too is spiritual. Now, for example, I'm writing a book right now, which is basically 24 hours in the life of a spiritual Jew. I want to demonstrate that waking up is a spiritual experience. Is a spiritual experience. Dressing is a spiritual experience. Etc. And I take back those, and yes, I do endorse the high-level abstract spirituality, but I want to relate it to the ordinary. Why do you move your hands in this way? do things right and left and down, and might have loathing and etc. etc. All of it.
Right, why don't we put on our right shoe first? Yeah, right.
Right shoe first and tie the left shoelace first.
Yes, yeah.
So many people laugh at, and yet it's got very profound spiritual implications.
I'm just learning, but I knew there was, because Judaism has a position on everything, down to how you should put your shoes on.
But to interrupt you, it has to. Why? Because everything has been created, and therefore there's an animating force for everything in existence, which is another way of saying that everything is meaningful, and therefore if we can, as a human analog, align to the shape, then we're actually a creative force.
Everything has meaning. Every person that we meet has
Really
meaning.
common
Every
sense.
action, every experience, down to putting on your shoes.
Exactly.
Okay, awesome. So I want to tap into something that just came earlier about something that you do in your lectures, which is to take concepts, which I would call complex concepts, and make it understandable to everyone. And I want to ask you a specific question next.
Yes.
So it's hard message to share there. But I do want to do first, what is the primary message to convey in your lectures as a whole, and maybe even just the individual lectures, like on mindfulness or anger?
It's not an easy question to answer. I think it's probably integration, unification, that no matter what the lecture is, what the subject matter is, it's somewhere on the circumference where all the radii point to a common center. In other words, I may be speaking about meditation and mindfulness, and people expect me, therefore, to be able to teach techniques of meditation. But I will ask them, why meditate? What's it? Just because everyone's saying, well, you have to meditate, but why? It's just another technology of human endeavor. If it doesn't have a goal, if it doesn't have a purpose, if it isn't part of your total why do it? It's an end in its own right. It's only a pathway to something more. So meditate, you have a goal. For example, is Bohness is a very traditional form of Hasidic meditation. What is it? It's to take a wisdom teaching and integrate it with yourself so you become a living exposition of that teaching. So that day, that wisdom teaching becomes practice. That's one format of meditation. Another form of meditation is a more common one, and that is health of the body. The body is the vehicle for the expression, it's the technology for the expression of the energy of the soul. And the neshama so it's a very special thing to keep the body in good shape, whether that's with eating practices or whether it's with exercise practices, but also most importantly with consciousness practices. In other words, what's the ambience of our being? If it's not a sense of emunah and bitachon, faith and trust, then we're open to the vagaries of economic uncertainty, geopolitical conflict and violence, interpersonal quarrelsome nature. Expression is the expression of the energy of the soul, and the neshama express optimally. So it's a very special thing to keep the body in good shape. Whether that's with eating practices or whether it's with exercise practices, but also most importantly with consciousness practices. In other words, what's the ambience of our inner being? If it's not a sense of emunah and bitachon and trust, open to the vagaries of economic uncertainty, geopolitical conflict and violence, interpersonal quarrelsome natures, everything else. Now, how do you overcome that? So some people say, oh, well, that's reality, you've got to live with it. But that's not true. It's how you view it. It's how you positively rather than negatively. You difference not just quality of life, but the health of the body. Because as we know from work, as feeling confident in the presence of one's therapist already is a healing process for yourself as a patient or as a client. So all of these things are so important in context of what it is we're able to seek. So coming back to your question, which was quite different, like I speak about, would be the primary mission or message that I want to give is that everything is interrelated and everything's part of what we call oneness. Therefore, everything that happens in life is related appropriately to every circumstance that we happen to be living in the world at that moment. Feel comfortable of creation because we are free. That's another subject. Choose wisely. Sure. The oneness, right? But if you would ask what's the comprehensive message of it, and that the Jahon is a mood up that there is only good and powerful ultimately, that's something that's painful, yes. And as you stated in your lecture, tragedies are occurring. We should not accept them. We should be sad and on the shoulders of those who are suffering. We should, but at the same time, have an underlying sense of reality. There's somehow or other a redeeming virtue which we cannot see, we cannot understand, but having that as a residual in the back of our mind and believing it completely reframes the circumstances.
Go fuck yourself. Alright, this is where memorize the timeline. 3,760. That's year one. The creation